Hi everyone, it's Sam from Sitemate. In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can use Dashpivot for our pre-starts and Toolbox talks, including how we can use Dashpivot to actually scan the digital IDs of our workers if they have a free Sitemate profile set up that just generates a digital ID card that's got a QR code on it. So we can scan that using Dashpivot and automatically log the signatures and the names and the company name of all the people who have actually attended the pre-start or Toolbox talk briefing. So pre-starts are used to brief teams before they start work about the planned works for that day. The term pre-start or pre-work brief is used somewhat interchangeably with the term Toolbox talk. Both are interactive and engaging safety sessions, though typically pre-starts are conducted daily, whereas Toolbox talks are conducted weekly or on an as-needed basis to discuss various safety-related topics. And by setting up this process inside of Dashpivot, it's going to ensure that your records are all kept in one place, they're easy to find, it's standardized across your organization, it's very easy to demonstrate compliance when it comes to audit time and things like that. So let's get started. So when you open up the Dashpivot website, you'll want to head to the templates section. And if you don't have a pre-start or Toolbox talk template set up just yet, you'll want to click this Add Template button and follow the prompts to build one from scratch. We do have some free templates available as well in the free public template library. Just search for Toolbox Talk or Prework Brief, and there'll be a free one that you can add into your account and then make modifications to if required. And it's optimized with best practices and uses all the scanning features that we'll cover in just a moment inside of that free template. So it's a good place to start. But once you've added it in, and you can see we have our pre-work brief template just here, we're going to click on it and start to use it. So we click on the template, and to fill out one of these forms, we just click this green button up the top over here, and it pulls up the form for us. You can see it's called Pre-Work Brief, and it's comprised of a series of fields, just like every other form inside of Dashpivot. This one in particular has a couple of drop-down menus up the top, and then we've got a date field, we've got text fields for the activity and the weather, and so on and so forth. So we can just sort of work our way through the form. Something that's very common inside of pre-starts and Toolbox talks is a table that records all of the day's tasks and all of the risks associated with those and the controls and responsibilities, things like that. But eventually, if we scroll down through all of this, we get to the bottom where we have a section for scanning on the digital signatures of all of the workers. So we actually have a table for scanning the workers on and a table for scanning the workers off. And we're going to use the Dashpivot mobile app for this. The Dashpivot app's great because it works offline. It's got autosave, it's got draft mode, it's got a photo section, it's got heaps of stuff to it. But in this video, we're going to cover just how we can scan our workers on. So I'm going to switch over to the Dashpivot app. You can see here, we're actually in the photos section. So we'll need to switch across to templates. And under safety, you can see that we have, if we scroll down, we have our pre-work brief template. So it's the same one that we saw on the website. The layout of the screen is just a little bit different because it's on a slightly smaller screen. But let's click on pre-work brief, and we can see here's the form that we created a minute ago. We're going to create a new one, so let's click on the green button to open up a new form, and you can see that we've got all the same fields that we saw on the website. So we've got drop downs, we've got text, we've got multiple choice, we've got the tables and so on. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom where we've got our scan on and scan off tables. So you can see here for scanning on, we have a button that says scan. If we click the button, it opens up the camera. And the idea here is that what we're going to do is we're going to scan the digital ID that I have set up for myself using the free Sitemate app. So it takes like a minute to set this up, but once you've done it, you can see that you've got a picture, name, company, signature, and then a big QR code next to that. And what we're going to do with the Dashpivot app using our scanner here is present the QR code into this box here. So I'm just going to put the QR code in the middle, and you can see that it's scanned that digital ID. And you can probably see in better detail here, you can see the name, company, signature, and digital ID. So this app here is actually free. Any of the workers can download it and set up a profile within a minute, and they can use that to scan onto things like pre-starts, Toolbox talks. They can even use it for scanning onto method statements, swims, these types of things. They can sign off inspections. Wherever you're using this particular scan field inside of Dashpivot, it works in conjunction with the Dashpivot app. Cool. So that's how you can use the Dashpivot app to scan people's IDs on there. So now we're going to take a look at how we can make some changes to this pre-start template. There is quite a lot of detail in here, which is best practice. But if we want to add some new sections, or we want to take some sections out, or change the values that exist in the drop-down menus and things like that, we'll need to edit this template via the Dashpivot website. So we'll need to exit out of here, but just assuming that we're happy with all the content inside this form, we'll just click the Save button, and you can see the form is now saved inside of Dashpivot. But if we want to modify this template, this particular pre-start template was actually set up at the company level within our home folder so that it was standardized across the whole company. And it's definitely something that we always recommend. So we'll head to our home folder and head to the template library section. And if we just go and find our template again, we want to select it. And you'll see that there's a couple of actions that appear. We want to click Edit Template. So if you haven't used the template editor before, it's pretty simple. We've just got a series of fields to choose from on the left-hand side, and in the center of the screen, we've got the fields that are already added onto our template. So we've got things like the date and the activity and the weather and so on. Some of them are set up as drop-down lists, but if we want to add in a new section, we can just click and drag a field onto the template. We can actually rearrange all of these fields as well to our liking. We can duplicate the fields, we can remove them, we can make some of them required if we want it to be mandatory to fill that out, and things like that. So we can make any adjustments that we'd like. All of the field types have sub options as well. So this is a single line, but we might want to change it to multi-line if needed, or pre-filled, and so on and so forth. I do want to touch on the lists section, which is managed outside of here. It sort of sits in the background. But let's say you've got a drop-down list, as we do here for the supervisor. The values that exist in this drop-down list are actually set up somewhere else, and we're referencing that list here. So you can see we're linking to a list, and that list is called personnel. It actually exists in the list section, and if you're in your home folder, it's actually called the list library. And if we go to list library, we can see there's a whole bunch of lists that have already been set up, including a list of personnel. And the beauty of using the list section is that you can set up the list once and maintain it in one place. It's the one source of truth for that list of personnel, but then you can refer to that list from as many templates as you'd like. So within your pre-start template, within your daily diary, within your timesheet, within your inspections, any of your templates can reference that one list. And if you make a change, it automatically updates that list in all of those templates at once. So it makes it really easy from a data management perspective. And then assuming that you're happy with the template that you've set up, your team can then start to use it. And over time, you'll end up with something that looks a little bit more like this, where you've got a whole bunch of records that have been filled out. Now, you can fill out the records both on the website, as we saw, but also using the Dashpivot app, which I mentioned has offline mode, it's got draft mode, it's got autosave, it's got photo stamping, it's got heaps of features in it. It works on iOS and Android. It's available for phones and for tablets. And for things like pre-work briefs, where you're probably doing them on site and you want to be able to scan the digital ID cards of all of the attendees, the Dashpivot app is perfect for this use case. But over time, you'll end up with a bunch of records sitting in Dashpivot that look like this. You can sort of scroll through them all and open them up and see the contents of them. But if you're looking for something specific, when you've got hundreds of records, there is a better way. We have something called the register, and this is actually converting all the information inside those forms to something that's a little bit more like a spreadsheet. So we've got a row for each of the forms, and we've got a column for each of the fields that was on the form. So we've got the first couple of columns are just metadata, so who created the form, when did they create it, but then you'll start to see that we've got all those fields that we filled out. So we've got supervisor, who prepared the meeting, who conducted the meeting, and so on and so forth. And the great thing about the register view is that we can apply some filters. So if we wanted to look at only the pre-starts, in this case, that were filled out by Daniel, we could select Daniel's name, apply a filter, and then all of a sudden we only see the records where Daniel was selected as the supervisor for that day. And then from here, if we needed to ever do an export, we can bulk select all of the forms, we can select export to CSV, or we can download as a PDF, and there's a couple of different options in there. The last thing I want to show you in this video is how we can use the analytics to visualize this data over time as well. So if we click on analytics, the way it works is we've actually already set up a series of dashboards. We're going to go to our safety dashboard. And you can see there's some charts in here already. One of the charts is called number of pre-work brief forms. If we click on this particular chart, it's just tracking the number of forms created over time. So we can see that on these days, we had a pre-start form filled out, and the different colors in this case just represent the different people who filled them out. What's great about this is that we can display the data in different ways. So we might want to see the cumulative over a given time period, and we can apply some filters down the bottom here as well. So we can, if we wanted to see only the pre-starts that were filled out by Chris over the course of several months, we would just select that time frame and we would filter for Chris, and then we would only see the pre-starts on the chart that were filled out by Chris. So it makes it really easy to track all of this. If you've got KPIs around how many pre-starts you need to be doing, or if your team need to be doing a pre-start every day, the charts really help to identify whether those KPIs are actually being met or not. So feel free to check out the analytics section. So that's it for this video. That's how you can use Dashpivot for pre-starts and Toolbox talks. Remember, we do have some free templates available in our public template library. So in the template section, click Add Template and select the Use a Free Public Template. Click on that. And if we search for Toolbox Talk, you can see we've got a free safety Toolbox talk. And then if we search for Pre-work brief, we have one of those available as well. So you just select it, add it into your account, and then you can make some changes. We do have a tutorial section which covers off all the other different use cases inside of Dashpivot, including a lot of the templates that you see here. It also covers off all of the different features and functionality that's available inside Dashpivot. So feel free to check that out. It covers off the template section, the photos, the analytics, the activity, all the different sections and features in greater detail. And if you get stuck with anything, you can always ask our team a question just via the live chat in the bottom of the website, but also in the mobile app. So feel free to get in touch. And as always, thanks for watching.